Welcome everybody to the class of the 2019 Much Games Hall of Fame. I'm Samurai TX, and here I am joined by two others in this video, two members of the Much Games Guides. Can you introduce?
Okay, hey everybody, it's Cole NL112, and
Excuse me, I had something in my throat. Hey guys, to Ju22 here. The Blue Toad is the Hall of Fame, and we have a very good list of games that we have. What about it, Cole?
yeah, I think this is one of the best ones yet. Definitely up there in the class from what we've had. And by the ending of this video, we'll have a grand total of 140 games inducted into the Much Games Hall of Fame, so there is that.
Right.
That's quite the selection. 140 games. All of them were good in their own right, for sure.
Yep. And, like, for what was chosen this year, it's been a pretty good class, I gotta say. A lot of our games are good. You've got from Japanese RPGs to platformers to adventure games. So, not to mention the Hall of Fame tournament winner, which will be announced last.
As always.
So I guess we'll get to the first game right away now. Speaking of games to induct, and correct me if I'm wrong, but Chiju, you wanted to induct this game?
Yes, of course. It is Super Mario 3D World. It is the sequel to Super Mario 3D Land, and I have to say, it improves upon the on 3D Land because you get to play as Mario. You also get to play as, and you also get to play Peach and as a Toad. So you can pretty much guess between the four characters which game I would play.
I got a feeling you'll go for speed and be a blue toad.
Right, I actually get to play as myself. No, not really.
But
I wish, but
I find with that one now, because after playing it and finishing it, that that each character is based on the Super Mario Brothers 2 characters.
right. Because Mario, he's balanced. He can jump. He can run. Luigi has the ability to jump high, fall slow, and has very bad traction. And Peach, she can jump and float in the air for like a little bit, but she's very slow. Toad is the fastest, but he cannot jump high and he falls faster. And those are the
That's
four base
definitely got
characters.
Mario 2 all over it.
Yep. Not to mention, there's actually a unlockable character in there as Rosalina. Now, she's slow, but she can jump really high. I know that because I've played as her.
I wasn't sure if that was a spoiler or not, but there you go. There's Rosalina. She also has that spin attack that Mario does in the Galaxy games.
Yes, there is that. Plus, there's new items in the game too. You can actually play as a in the cat suit.
Oh yeah, the cat bell. You collect it, and you not only turn into a cat, but you can climb up walls easier and go a little bit faster. As far as
Probably one of the more innovative items they added in the game. Gotta agree, it's one of my favorite. I've gotta say I like it. The catsuit. And most people say it's not their favorite, but everybody has their own choices. Which one's their favorite in terms of suits in general?
Yeah, I kind of agree. I actually do like that one. It always reminds me of my own cat.
yeah, that's right. You have a cat named Belle.
Yeah, I do. And although the story goes that we named after the female, the cat's actually a male. I won't get into that story right now during the Hall of Fame video. I'll tell you guys off screen of that one.
Sounds good.
But on top of that, there was actually this game did inspire another game as well while we're talking about that one. If you guys remember Captain Toad's Treasure Tracker, I think
Yes.
that's
Oh
the name
yes.
of the game. Because this game right here actually has the Captain Toad levels, where you have to go and collect stars.
And I understand that Captain Toad Treasure Tracker is supposed to be the prequel, and that what happened after that game, happened in 3D World.
Yep.
Learned something new today.
I mean, I didn't know that before, so I kind of learned that off of Mario Girl's brother.
Every day is a new day to learn things,
Oh,
as
for
they
sure.
say.
But this game was also released in 2013 as well on the Wii U, so made and published by Nintendo.
Was it a DLC or was it a standalone game?
This was a standalone game,
Was
but the Treasure Tracker is a standalone game too. But it spun out from this one.
Makes sense.
Yeah. But we've got that game pretty well covered right now. The only one thing that I actually do like about the game before we move on to the next one, another one of my favorite things, is beating the final level of the game. I will not explain how to get to it because for spoiler reasons, but for any enthusiasts that do like this game, you would want to actually 100% it. It's the final level in the game is a bitch to complete. Let's put it that way. You got to have a lot of lives, and believe me when I
skill.
say that. Yep.
Let's add that in.
Trust me. If you guys ever played Super Mario Galaxy 2 and seen Champions, not Champions Road, Champions Road, the perfect run.
Yeah, the perfect run. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh
Well,
god,
this is literally like that, except for you actually
it
can use
is.
items. All right. So why don't we move on to game number 2? So this game, the game number 2 is coming out now. It was released in 2007 on the PlayStation 2 with a remake that came out in 2016. Odin Sphere. Now, Odin Sphere was made by company Vanillaware, and it was actually published by Atlas as well. So, it came out first in Japan before hitting North America and Europe. Now, the remake is known as Odin Sphere Life Thresher. I probably mispronounced that one, and I think Moogle, if he's watching this video, is probably gonna shit on me for it. But well, there's not much I can do there. There are 5 protagonists to this game. Gwendolyn, who's the daughter of the Demon King Odin. Cornelius, who's Prince of Titania, which got turned into a puka. Mercedes, who is daughter of Elferia. Oswald, the Shadow King, which was adopted by Melvin of Rockford. And Velvet, a survivor of Valentine, who has disguised herself as an illegitimate daughter of Odin.
Wow.
It also deals with the fact that there are 5 books in the game that one person's actually reading. I forget the person's name, and I am going based on memory on that one. But the 5 books tell the stories of those 5 protagonists. You actually go through all the same levels too, but the stories add up as they tell different. If it doesn't make sense in one part, as you go in through later books, it actually the plot does start to make sense. Now this is this is a 2D side scroller. It does have the JRPG elements. Interesting fact about this game is not only can you level up your experience, but the own HP as well. The more food you eat, the more hit points you can get, depending on how much food you eat. Now, I do believe like a certain amount that'll increase your HP over time. So there is that.
And of course, it also uses beat 'em up style for the battle system,
Yes.
what I understand. And as for the story or the way it's done, you were probably thinking of perspectives from each of the characters, in which there's 5 of them.
Mm-hmm.
So this game came out long before Octopath Traveler. inspiration from.
Yeah, I can see that.
And that's one thing, but what about you, Samurai? What do you think about Alders?
I think it's one of the more better games I've heard of. I've not really got a full experience playing it because I've only really had 20 minutes of it, so I wouldn't say I had too much experience with it. But from what I've heard, I definitely would pick it up for sure. I'd pick it up and play it one day because it's my type of game with the concepts and the clever mechanics it has in it. So it definitely goes in my alley in terms of me wanting to play it again, like fully without like just a 20-minute like demo playthrough or anything like that. I'd definitely want to pick it up because it just appeals to me already. Just listening to Cole explain it and you talking about it as well, it definitely gives me more like motivation to play it.
And it does give you motivation. Like the storyline, it does make it interesting. Um, One of the things I'd probably should mention is that Moogle Fantasy actually inducted this game into the Hall of Fame. So, and
A very good choice.
it is.
A good choice. I like it.
Yeah, it's not a game that was in the Hall of Fame tournament, but because some of these games weren't. 3D World actually was, but this game right here, if this one had to be in a tournament, I'd say it would have got high in there, if not win at all. But with that being said, now it is definitely, like Samurai said, is one I would pick up too, just to play it, and maybe even stream it.
Fun. I might actually look at that, and if it's on sale, I might get it.
It's a funny thing about this game because I did read up that Atlas did post Japan and North America, but in 2008, Square Enix published this game for Europe. So it says, like in 2008, that it got published by Square Enix for the Power region.
Okay, yeah, I didn't. I probably didn't have that one down in my notes, but then I was just really skimming through stuff too, so that's probably
Only
why.
just, only just read up on that myself.
I think it also you can actually pick up the books at random. I'm not 100% sure, and that's probably after the first book. But like we said, this is a game that I definitely want to try out, just because of the fact that after reading about it, after seeing videos on it, and the videos I've seen was actually more of a review part. Yeah, you want to play this game. It's a great addition to the Hall of Fame. So why don't we get moving on to the third game?
And the third game is Metroid Prime 3 Corruption for the Nintendo Wii. It was released in 2007 for Europe and America, and 2008 in Japan. This is the sequel to Metroid Prime 2 Echoes. It takes place 6 months after the events of Metroid Prime 2. And for me, with this game, it definitely is a step up compared to number 2. I would say it's better than number 2. That's just my opinion. Everyone has their own list which one's better in the Prime collection. But for me, it did surpass the story. And the terms of gameplay and controls, I liked it as well. The concept of having the nunchuck and the motion controls, it worked for me, especially the way you can aim. It was just everything about Metroid Prime 3 Corruption. I did have my doubts, obviously, because motion controls wasn't as perfect then for various consoles. So I think Nintendo definitely pulled this one off very well. And in terms of I wouldn't. It didn't hit. It was close enough to hitting the heights of the first game, but it definitely surpasses number 2 for me. I'm not saying that I don't like number 2, but number 3 was a very fun game for me to play. It was if I have to throw in my fact, Corruption was actually my first Wii game, believe it or not. So I do have a bit of nostalgia since this game's 12 years old. I guess I can throw that in there. But Samus definitely has had her fair share of adventures. Kind of jealous actually because I want a kind of an adventure like that, but it is what it is. But Yeah, I definitely put this was a clever choice to put in the Hall of Fame for me. I know there's been other Metroid games that have been put in the Hall of Fame, but this one definitely deserves a spot in it as well.
Yeah, while you're rating that one, Nufi Banga actually put this one in, and while Retro Studios did a wonderful job on this one, and they're doing it on Metroid Prime 4 as well, that one got restarted from scratch and handed to Retro Studios just so that they can get something going. So you know that Metroid Prime 4 is going to be unbelievable. But the other thing is, I do like the fact that they redefined the controls in this one. They did so well that they actually replaced Metroid Prime Trilogy 2 years later, including 1 and 2.
Wow.
Didn't they? Didn't they re-release this on the for the Switch and stuff as well? If I remember, did they?
I think they did. I thought I gotta look up. Now I'm just curious about that myself.
So am I. I thought they would do something like that, but I might be wrong.
No, they never. They only kept it on the Wii.
Yeah, I think they only did the trilogy. I think they only did the 3 games for the Wii and just put it as a trilogy collection.
Yep.
They did. It was released in 2009,
Yeah, that's right.
and I think the gameplay was done. Prime 2 and Prime 3 were done using the Wii controls, but I forget how they did. I think they might have just done it like with the normal controls or whatever. I don't know.
No, it's not.
I have to imagine. Oh,
Say they. It's the way that they. Like, say if you're playing most first-person shooters, that like you'd have the nunchuck in one hand. If you swung the nunchuck, it's like swinging a grappling hook. While you're using the other one probably to shoot things. So that's pretty much part of what they did. But movement would be like the same in it, where you're moving with the nunchuck back and forth, the stick on the nunchuck, and everything. Like, but it's just unbelievable. Even the graphics were finely tuned in that one, and that's one thing that some people might not think of. Like, I think the Metroid Prime series, out of all the Metroid games out there, the Metroid Prime really is set the standard for what a Metroid game should be. And yes, you got your Super Metroid, which is probably one of the best games of all time. Not gonna lie. Samurai, didn't you let's play a Metroid game on Much Games?
Zero Mission.
Right, the remake of the original.
Yep.
Yeah, so there is that, and then yeah, but the Prime
I'm sure Bonga played it on his channel, Corruption.
he
I
has
might be
not
wrong.
yet. As of this recording, he hasn't yet. He's done the original, and he's done Echoes this year. He actually did
Oh, yeah,
Echoes.
that's numbered. Yeah, that's. I thought you did. I thought you did Corruption. That was Echoes. That's right.
But I think he has to. That is something he is working on, though. I'd say probably next year he might do Corruption. The only thing that Samus Aran, like this, instead of where first one and the second one take place on just a single planet, this one actually takes place on multiple planets. She's trying to cure him all of Phazon,
wow.
while
Yep.
at the same time she's been corrupted from Phazon. Hence the name Corruption. But the
He has to
main,
fight her evil self. Yeah.
yeah, the main antagonist, ironically, Dark Samus. And Ridley is actually back in this game too.
Doesn't that dude stay dead? Please go away, Ridley.
No, he doesn't stay dead. He just goes into Smash Ultimate.
Damn it, Ridley.
Makes me wonder what he was. Is it with him and Samus? Do they have some sort of thing with each other?
Well, yeah, they're rivals.
Yeah.
That's practically it then.
I mean, they're like Mario and Bowser.
Yeah. Definitely. That's a very good one. Or Link and Ganon.
Yeah. I mean, you can't have one without the other. Like, sure, there are games where Bowser's not the main antagonist, or Ganon's not the main antagonist from those series, but in the end, you always come back as a main antagonist. Although, would one consider Ridley to be a main antagonist?
Hmm?
Definitely not. I don't think he's a side antagonist. He's one of main antagonists to Samus.
Ridley.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'd say he's probably one of the main ones.
yeah,
Mother Brain being the other.
yes. Because Mother Brain was in the original, and Mother Brain was also in Super Metroid, if I remember correctly.
That's correct.
But speaking while we're on topics of aliens, why don't we go on to the fourth game here now? And Samurai, this is your game that you're inducting.
That is true. It is XCOM UFO Defense, made in 1994 by Microprose, or in other countries it's called UFO Enemy Unknown. But this was made in 1994 by Microprose, released in 1994 for the MS-DOS and this game did get its re-release on the PlayStation in 1995. People probably got it on the PlayStation or the Windows in 1998. But for me, this game very high on my childhood because I used to play this game every day. It's just words can't describe how great this strategy game is. It always has a soft spot for me. It does run on real-time management, and you star as the commander of the XCOM organization, which is a paramilitary, and you have to stop aliens from invading the planet. And with this game, it definitely had its clever concepts. For a game released in 1994, for sure, I think it was ahead of its time. It's definitely one of the all-time strategy games for me. You could name your soldiers, name your base, name your ship. You could do anything in that game. That's why I still play it to this day. I streamed an interactive where I just got subscribers and viewers along and just had a little fun time. I know Cole was always the fodder, and I left him on a mission once. I'm very sorry about that, but I've had some fun moments with XCOM, even with the YouTube streamers. But yeah, it for me it definitely does rank high as one of my favorite games of all time because just strategy games do sometimes go under the radar. It is turn-based tactics to an extent. It does have RPG elements to it and whatnot. You do get ranked up, or via this ranking system in XCOM, you can get ranks from what's the ranks, rookies to captains, and so on and so on. It's a very it's really good, and with the stats, you do get more higher accuracy and so on and so forth. And the one thing that was clever as well is like once your soldier is wounded, you can replace them and leave them in the medical facility to get them healed and whatnot. There was so much clever concepts in the game that was well ahead of its time in 1994. And of course, 1990, they had 6 months to do Terror from the Deep, which is another great sequel. I reckon you should play them because in terms of replay value, because the difficulties are there. It has 5 difficulties. I do recommend you don't play on supernatural difficulty, which is the 5th one. You will get slaughtered. Don't you dare. And the third difficulty, I definitely wouldn't try the middle difficulty period. So try the first or second difficulty, just to be safe. I definitely recommend you play it though. On Steam, it should be at least, well, because I'm in Europe, it's about £2.30, which is very cheap. And I think in the NA, it should be about $4. It's definitely worth picking up. I do recommend you play it.
Definitely cheap. Although I will admit, while you left me on a mission and left me to die, at least you could be do no better than what Grotus did. I'll give you a gun with no weapons and leave you there against the aliens. Have fun.
Oh, poor you. That was unintentional when I left you behind. That was like my first stream, and I was just getting used to the game, and I accidentally left you behind, and I was like, "Oh god,
Yeah,
this is going to be bad."
but when Grotus streamed it, I think it was more intentional for the laugh.
Yeah, like him throwing dead corpses around.
And that's because I accidentally shot one of his teammates.
Yeah, you did. But in terms of this game, definitely, like I said, it was ahead of its time for a game in 1994 to add as much things as it did. That's one thing that satisfies people, the amount of content in the game. And for you to progress, you literally had to catch aliens. So you could either shoot them to the point where they're wounded, but it's mainly recommended you pick up you have stun weapons. But there are some enemies that are not recommended you catch because there's a lot of dangerous aliens there. I don't want to go into detail about all the dangerous aliens, but it has its challenge for sure with the aliens' accuracy. Depending on what difficulty you play, the accuracy, especially on the higher difficulty, supernatural, which is number 5, the hardest difficulty, the accuracy is really ridiculous. But it's random number generated in terms of accuracy. So I suppose you're gonna have the best guns, like, and have at least a high 60%. I do recommend you do build up your guns as fast and catch aliens so that you can get your resources faster, because if you don't, you're going to be in very big trouble.
Yeah, because the more that you learn about the aliens, the faster you can get to the final base too, as the game goes on.
One thing I did like about this game as well is like when you see an alien spaceship in the air, you can shoot it down. That was one of the more clever things you could do. Obviously, you can upgrade your weapons in that ship and whatnot. Of course, you're not going to be strong off the bat. You're going to have missiles and stuff, which are pretty weak. But through research, you can actually develop better craft and better weapons. So it's definitely recommended you do catch the aliens and research everything you can so that you can get all the powerful things as fast as possible to help you out upon your way.
Yeah, that definitely sounds like a game that's good. And even for a DOS game, I mean, some DOS games were not really as good as what they could have been, but this one was actually pretty good, I gotta admit, even watching it from your stream. Playing it, I might have a bit of trouble, because I might have to actually name a character after Grotus, leave him with no guns, and leave him there to fight the aliens on his own. But
Cold's Revenge.
Cole is very salty.
You wouldn't blame him.
I don't know. Grotus is. Wait. Yeah, Samurai still got to give back at Grotus for what Grotus did to him in Resident Evil 5.
Oh, yeah. I still need to get back at killed me.
You know what you guys got to do? Do a stream of Resident Evil 6 and Much Games guides, and somehow accidentally do the same thing to him.
Or make him die in a quick time event.
Oh, that could work too.
Yeah, I do have revenge on my. Let's hope you're not watching. This is Cole's idea, by the way.
Cole's only going to take responsibility for nothing. Well, okay, yeah. Well, I think he knows. I still does that just for fun at this point.
But in terms of XCOM, as we are going back on topic, thanks to Grodus being the villain in this case, they did remake this game in 2012 by created by Fireaxis and 2K Games in 2012 called XCOM Enemy Unknown. It's a very good game. If you ain't gonna play the classic version, then definitely pick up the recent version in 2012, which is available on PC, PS3, and should be on Xbox 360 as well. Actually, yes, it is. So it's on PC, Windows, Xbox, PS3. It's on iOS, Android, Linux, PlayStation, Vita. You can get this game anywhere, and it's definitely one game you should pick up. If it's not the classic version you play like I do, you can definitely pick up the remake. It's worth your purchase, definitely. And it should be cheap because it's been out for 7 years. So definitely get the XCOM remake or the original just to compare the two. But it's still the same in terms of the mechanics from the previous game. I know it's taken off some from the older games, but it's still very good in terms of a remake, and definitely to revitalize the XCOM franchise. I think they only done XCOM and XCOM 2 with add-on DLCs and stuff, so it's recommended you do pick up those. I do recommend it heavily to pick up XCOM. Still standing up to this day as one of the best strategy real-time for me anyway.
Yeah, it is a really great game, like you said. Definitely worth the pickup. So, now that we're halfway, that's the fourth game right now, so we're hitting the fifth game here now. And Bragg actually inducted this one. He was thinking down to a Final Fantasy game or this one. Now, you know that Bragg's favorite genres is JRPGs. So it's no surprise that this is a JRPG. Hyperdimension Neptunia Rebirth 1, the remake of the original that came out in 2010. This one was actually, unlike the first one, was actually made by Felistella Games. And it was actually published, depending on where you were to, from the original. Now, that's what the remake was. But the publishers were either Compile Heart in Japan, NIS America in North America, and Temco Koei in Europe. Now, depending on the region that you lived in, whether it be Japan, which got the earlier releases, was 2013 or 2014 in North America and Europe, on PlayStation Vita. This is also out for Windows 2, so you can get this game on Steam. Now, while the game actually do take place during the... Okay, I'm gonna have to... Oh, we good? We good?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, okay, now, well, I was getting on point here. The game does take place during the thing after its release in 2010's original. It does take place during a thing called the Console Wars. Very ironic.
Yeah.
Because you actually have 4 hearts. One was the white heart, which actually represents Nintendo, I do believe, in a way. The green heart represents Xbox. Then there's the purple heart. I think that's what it's named. I know there's one that's black heart and purple heart. I do think one of them represents PlayStation and the other one represents Sega. And the main protagonist, Neptune, was actually representative of Sega itself in terms of its console, where at the beginning of the game, if you actually look at the video, 3 of the goddesses gang up on Neptune. Now, Neptune falls in that battle and is knocked out. When she awakens in another person's house, which ends up being a partner. I don't have the name written down though, but she does have amnesia. So gaining memory as the game goes on is one thing there. One thing about this one is that it is anime based. So
Yeah.
like all of its a lot of protagonists and antagonists are females in it. So I mean some of them have their bigger boobs than others. I do have to actually point that out for whatever reason.
Okay.
I don't know. It is anime. Some animes do have that, but we're not going to get into that right now. We're going to try to keep this at least
As much as we can.
yeah.
Yep.
But moving on, we do have, but like I said, it is the anime-based stuff, and basically, with this game, it does take the turn pace of the Japanese RPGs. So a lot of the battles are good, and I mean, what else can I say about it? Look at the graphics of the game. I mean, graphics are top notch. Now with the Rebirth 1, it actually does do the add-ons to the game like most remakes do. So there are other features in the game that were not in the original. You guys want to chime in on it?
Like, what it has is you have like new dungeons, new in battle. So there's always that, and another thing that they had was well, actually that's about it. New dungeons and new battle perks, and also some new characters that were added. Those are just some of the new ones that they added, but they never really went into detail as to what it is, other than just updating the graphics and. But just other than that, that's practically it.
Like for the PlayStation Vita, for a console that virtually could have failed, they did have a few bright spots in the games, and this is one of them. I mean, every time when I hear people talk about the Vita, it's not generally positive. I mean, this is one of the more positive games out there.
Thank God.
Tell us how you really feel.
Vita does take a lot of crap. And about time Vita gets a bit of positivity in its life.
And they even had a short lifespan, though. I mean, this is a
Ugh,
really good remake.
it really is. I still got to play it again just to refresh my memory, but from listening to it, I do like the idea and the concept and the story. I'm not gonna pick a side because I just play any of them because I just like games. But of course, the console war is kind of a clever idea because that's what goes on nowadays to see which one's the best, which one gets the most sales, and it's a clever concept. I have watched the anime before, and I have read the light novels as well because I know that Hyperdimension Neptunia has had a lot of them because it's extremely popular. So it does vary around each of those things. So if you haven't read it or played it or watched it, well, you can choose which one you want to do first. I think there's specific orders. I can't remember which one's in order first because it's been a while, but I know there's multiple sequels and stuff. Definitely go out your way to well, play it, watch it, read it. Up to you. Just it's not no big rush to do any of those. Like if it doesn't appeal to you, you don't have to continue reading it or watching it. But it's up to you.
Very point well taken. If I were to do it, I'd probably play games first. As watching the anime now, it might be a bit different for me.
Yeah, understandable. And not many people do like to read as much. So I think probably people will pick the. It depends on you are. If you love, go with the anime first. But if you're a gamer, you go with the games. And if you're someone that loves to read, you would read them.
Well, that
It's
is very
just you
true.
can just pick it anyway. Just
I mean,
take any approach really.
and if you like to read as well as play, the elements, and you happen to like anime, I think this is the best choice that you can get.
100%.
And the only other thing I will mention is that the ending you get is based on how you do in the game, including the true ending.
Yes, because there is one of three endings you can get in the game: bad, good, and true.
See that's another that's one thing that you can do. That's replay value right there. If you just to explore all endings just to get you talking, it's definitely one of the clever concepts that when you have endings. Only if they're, worthy for you. But I always like things that have multiple endings just to get you talking. What if that happens or you know,
Like
if you don't
Chrono
get the
Trigger, for
true
example.
ending? Exactly.
Oh yeah, that's right. Chrono Trigger had multiple endings, and not a bad concept to adopt.
Just to keep the people guessing, I think it always is a good thing to have those multiple endings. I know some people don't like it, but for me, it's actually one of the better things to have just to get you talking, just to say, what if?
Yep. Like, what if I do really bad? There is all them ones. But like the replay value of this one is up there too with that. But speaking of replay values, why don't we go on to our next game?
Oh yes, I like this one.
A game that was inducted by Cola NL180.
That is not a surprise.
Well, gee, I wonder why.
Okay, so did you want to go ahead with this one? I guess.
Well, our good friend Colette, she let's play the original game, but we are inducting its sequel. Bayonetta 2 in 2004 or 2014, excuse me, for the Wii U, and unfortunate because it came out during the time when the Wii U wasn't exactly the best console of its time, but yet it kind of gets forgotten. In fact, I nearly forgot about it until Colette had played Bayonetta. I remembered, oh yeah, that's right, there was a sequel to that. So much of the gameplay that was featured in the first game was retained. Able to use guns and being able to move in witch time, which is kind of like slowing down enemies. But in reality, you're just simply going fast. That and torture attacks, especially. I mean, Cole, you've seen the torture attacks.
Yeah, I have, and I've also seen Samurai's Let's Play of Bayonetta ongoing right now as we speak.
Yeah, but I remember when Colette played it. I mean, she used to get a kick out of those torture attacks.
Well, wouldn't she?
Yeah, that is true. That's what she.
She tortures all of us with the blue shell. So of course, torture attacks are her favorite.
I could definitely see a lot of Bayonetta, or rather, a lot of Colette in Bayonetta.
The sassy talk.
If she's very sassy, and let's see what else we got. So equip new weapons. This is something new that you have, or actually, no, it's not new, but there are new weapons in addition to the ones that you got from the first game. But there is one new thing that they add, and that is the Umbrian Climax. You have a full magic gauge, and this what it does is it strengthens in combos, and it just increases the overall range and damage, and also replenishes Bayonetta's health when in use. So it's something that if you have full magic, use it.
Sounds like the Devil Trigger to an extent from Devil May Cry.
Yep, it does. And Platinum Games actually did an amazing job with this one. And when Sega dropped the for the first one, when they wanted to make the second one, Nintendo actually picked up the ball right where Sega left off.
Which is true, because other consoles didn't want to give Bayonetta a chance. Well, if any company you got to thank for Bayonetta to be happening, including Bayonetta 3, which is set to come out, I don't know when, probably next year, I'd probably say. Got to thank Nintendo for that, because without Nintendo, there wouldn't be a number 2 or a number 3.
Nope, that's for sure. But the one thing I did notice about number 2, one of the chapters, you actually face a really tough boss early in that chapter. And it's one of the longest chapters in the game itself. I think it's chapter 7 in that game. And just the beginning of the game, of that chapter itself, you face off against a really tough boss, and that's just the beginning of an exciting chapter. The other thing is Bayonetta. This is actually set 6 months after the events of the original Bayonetta, close to Christmas time, where Bayonetta has to save Jean, or Jean,
Yeah, Jean.
yeah, from the depths of Inferno. Now, I won't get into how Jean got there, but you'd actually have to play the game yourselves. But it does become to an amazing plot, amazing story, and the story definitely keeps you involved. So, there's that. There was also a voice actor change, too. The guy that played Enzo from the first one has a voice actor changed in the second one.
That's true.
So, there is that part right there. The rest of them did manage to keep their own voice actors, thank God.
Including Helena Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Then you got Dave Filoni who voiced Rodan. You have obviously Giz Grey Delizelle Griffin, who voiced John. You have Yuri Lowenhorn, who voiced Luca. But
Cheshire.
yeah, as Cole, yeah. Alright, and as Cole said, Enzo's voice actor got replaced. John Cassier replaced Chick Venera, sorry. My pronunciations ain't on point, but I guess you guys got the point.
Yeah, I think they do, but it definitely is interesting. This is a game that even got here. I got a feeling, Samurai, if you want to actually play it, you might have to actually come here to Canada. I got a Wii U here.
Yeah, because I don't really have a Wii U yet, so I probably will need to pick one up in the future and stop being a lazy git. Because I've played Bayonetta 1, so it's definitely going to probably make me have an itch to play number 2.
Or you can actually get the Switch and get a version of that on the Switch too. So, because
Oh
it is
yeah,
out on the
it came
Switch.
out. It came out
It's
last. I
awesome,
think
by the way, that they brought
they
it to the Switch.
re-released it last year, I believe.
Uh, yes, they did
Did
actually.
February 6th, 2018. They brought it for the Switch.
Yeah, February 17th for Japan.
That's
So
the other
Japan got it
thing.
a day late.
That's the second game now where Japan got a later release in this Hall of Fame.
Yep. It's a surprise considering Japan normally gets games first,
Yeah, for sure.
unless they're American or European, then they get it last. But that's kind of rare that Japan gets a game.
Yep, for sure. 'Cause like you said, they're always the first ones. Now, it makes sense. Most games are made there in Japan, but I guess because North America or Europe got bigger hypes. Like there's some games that's actually released in Europe before it even hits North America or Japan. So, if, but I guess we could move on to the next game now.
Oh my goodness! I remember I played the predecessor to this particular game. I played Donkey Kong Country Returns. That
Yes,
is Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, the Nintendo Wii.
Zeo Lightning's inducting this.
Good choice, Zio.
Anyway, go Zeo Lightning. Nah, I wanted to do that.
Yeah.
Anyway, otherwise, the gameplay continues from the Donkey Kong Country series, and the controls are more or less the way that they were in Returns. However, there are some new things that they added, and not the least of which was to playing as Diddy Kong. I mean, you can't forget about Diddy. They
No,
also
especially with the
added,
jetpack on his back.
yep, thanks to his jetpack, it makes the jumps, between him and Donkey Kong a lot more easier. But they also added some new characters in the series before. Those characters would be Dixie Kong, and making his playable debut is Cranky Kong.
Wait, Cranky?
Yes,
Yep.
the old man is coming. The
Oh
old
wow!
man is gonna bust out the cane for the first time since his original debut back in the old Donkey Kong game.
Was he playable with Donkey Kong Country 64?
No. Actually, in Donkey Kong 64, a game that's made by Color and Manga on Much Games Guides, check that out. Um, he was actually the guy that made the potions.
Oh, that's right.
But Retro
Because
Studios, which is their second game on this list, with help from Monster Games in that one, actually did an amazing job with this game. The only thing I've always found about Donkey Kong Country games is that they are really, really like. So there are some parts that they make the game a bitch. Really, like if you wanted 100% a game like this, it's really hard. Doable, yes. Hard,
mhm,
yes.
did. because I remember trying to get all the letters. Like, I think the letters were very bad, but the puzzle pieces were probably just. And the trouble that you have to go through to get everything, especially if you want to unlock secret levels and halves and things like that. It was much the same in Donkey Kong Country Returns, and it also has a different plot. If I may mention that, of course.
Yeah, it does. You can go ahead and mention what the plot is.
Okay. Well, last time we had a bunch of tikis, and they were brainwashing the animals to steal the bananas. Well, have Vikings, and they're not just any Vikings, but they're penguins. And they use their power to freeze everything as if it was the Vikings in the Ice Age. And they have turned everything, like they've turned the jungle into a winter wonderland. It's up to Donkey Kong to unfreeze everything that these Snowmad ships have done.
Yeah, and that's traveling to the 10 islands that are around DK Island. Not to mention, this on DK's birthday. Who goes and robs someone on their birthday? Or tries to take over something on their birthday? And yes, I am making a new Super Mario Bros. Wii reference there too.
The Ice Age. That's who.
Yep.
I had to throw in that Mr. Freeze reference. Oh, that terrible movie. But yeah, there's always something with Donkey Kong and bananas. They always have to do something to Donkey Kong, don't they?
Yep.
He might not be known for his brains, but he knows how to save a world.
But the thing is, I like the fact that they got the 2D side-scrolling in this with the 3D elements.
It's 2.5D.
Which is really helpful, because you can go into the background too. 2.5D is actually awesome for it too. But the other thing is that you got the hair twirl from Dixie Kong. Cranky Kong's abilities are interesting, because if you guys ever played DuckTales, it's similar to that.
Oh, yay.
Oh, yeah.
He uses the
Can
cane
bounce
a lot.
on.
You
It's
guys,
incredible.
yeah. Right? Because that's virtually where they're getting that inspiration from.
That's quite the inspiration for sure.
And he can bounce on spikes and, get to higher areas, beat enemies that you normally couldn't beat with any of the other Kongs. That's incredible.
Yep.
No wonder Cranky thinks he's full of. No wonder Cranky thinks highly of himself. He can do it.
No wonder why he lectures you in the very first Donkey Kong Country, because he's actually pretty.
Yeah, he only beat the game in under an hour.
So
yeah,
he says.
He likes to remind us. Now, if I do remember correctly as well, report this on the Switch, but they added something else. They added Funky Kong in the Switch version.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Funky mode. Yeah, they added Funk so you could play as Funky Kong. This port was released last year. Retro Studios was once again behind it, and they just enhanced the gameplay and just added Funky for this game.
But the one thing about Retro Studios that not many people may know, that's actually the old company of Rare. The employees of Rare actually left just so that they can start their own.
So, Pro Studios is the original, and then Rare just came from that.
No, Retro Studios employees used to work for Rare. When Rare got bought by Microsoft, some of the employees actually left Rare and started their own company.
So it was the other way around. I'm sorry.
They knew Rare was doomed.
Yep.
It was never the same.
And you look what they did with a remake of Conker's Bad Fur Day.
And Banjo-Kazooie.
Yep. Well,
I mean, they came up with some great games since then. But as you, if I interrupted.
no, that's fine. But that's pretty well Donkey Kong in a nutshell. Like I said, I like their myself and Banga did let's play the original, and yeah, I will admit he carried me. Uh, he did DK64 with Colette, and I will admit he carried her.
I did Donkey Kong Country this year on my channel.
And you will admit you carried yourself.
Yeah. And I didn't 100% the game, unfortunately, but I.
But you did do a good Let's Play on, so I'd recommend people check it out. Shall we move on to the next game?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, so the next game is actually a game that was made by a Canadian indie developer, Boot Disc Revolution, and it's actually originally on the Xbox indie game scene. Bleed. Now, the game was made in 2012, and it features a female protagonist named Ren. And she got the idea in her head that she wanted to be the next hero, greatest video game hero of all time. So she's going around in this shoot 'em up platformer, and because that's what it is, going around and killing all the former heroes. Now, before you think, oh yeah, well heroes like Mario and Luigi, well no, these are actually heroes that were probably turned into other creatures. I honestly wouldn't be able to tell you from that part, from what I could see, but she basically goes and kills them all, and after she kills a giant dragon, she gets ready to go to tell people what she's done. However, another person claims it all, and she ends up killing him, where they all booed him for doing it. They actually cheered her and inducted her into the Hall of Heroes. Hall of Video Game Heroes, I believe.
Ow.
But the story does keep you involved. It does have a lot of good mechanics. And there is two-player co-op available with it as well. Any
If I
thoughts?
was to play, that game with Grodus, I hope he doesn't bloody kill me.
Not if you kill him first. I don't know. I just get this feeling Grodus is watching this video right now, and they're doing the damn it Cole things.
He will ploy his revenge by killing you as a soldier.
I could see a little bit of Mega Man. I could also see a little bit of I forget what other games that you would compare to this. Of Super Meat, not Super Meat. Explosion Man. You know, given its indie game feel.
Yeah, it does have that. This is also released on Steam and everything as well. But the other thing that I do like with this one, besides all the mechanics and all that, is the fact that there is a female protagonist in there too. And it does have one mode where you can actually take on all the bosses at the same time. Have fun with that mode. The arcade mode that it has in there, you get three. I'm after hearing this in two different things. You can do everything with either one life or 3 lives. So, I think in the review I've watched, they actually said 3 lives. So to do that in 3 lives, no health ups, no continues, just 3 straight lives. Seems like a challenge.
Wow.
A very big challenge.
But it's a challenge that I'd say, someone like yourself, Sam, knowing you, I'd say you'd take that on.
Yep, knowing me, I probably would. I've taken on so many challenges on my channel, which is pretty ridiculous. And I've had my tough moments. I probably won't name the games that I've had my tough moments, because I'll just throw in Ninja Gaiden, that's one of them. But
Battletoads.
yeah, oh god, Battletoads. Well, yeah, I'll definitely throw my hat in there for taking a challenge I would say no to. My pride's too high to not take a challenge.
But that one, I can understand you not doing Battletoads.
Oh god. My brother's been tempting me so much to play that game on the Xbox 360. I was like, no, not doing it. Well, this is a game I definitely would pick up because it's actually the first time I'm hearing of it. So I know there'll be mistakes upon the way where I'm doing the challenging, but I will overcome my fears and overcome, well, not the fears, but overcome the challenge because that's just, if Grodus can beat it, I can beat it.
That's always a good option to have. And speaking of Grodus, he actually inducted this game.
He probably has beaten it.
Well, he did
If
put
he
this
Probably
one.
hasn't,
did.
He did put this one in
if
the
he
tournament too. So,
if he hasn't beaten it, I will question him.
well, he does have his own server.
It
I
does.
will. He does.
Bunch of frogs in there.
And if you leave it, you will be eaten by Grodus himself. No,
Yep.
I shouldn't have said that because now you might not want to join it now.
Although it's probably not the literal eating of your person, just your soul.
And he's a frog, so he can eat you quite quickly.
Yep, that's for sure.
Does Bleed have multi? You said Bleed has co-op, right?
Yes, 2-player co-op.
I hope I hope there's no friendly fire in the damn game. If there is friendly fire, I'm in trouble.
Yeah, knowing Grodus, of course.
And especially because Battletoads and others had it before. And when you do co-op games, nobody likes friendly fire people.
Yep. I guess like playing the Streets of Rage games. Yeah.
Or Double Dragon.
Or Double Dragon, yep. It's like, oh,
They're
I
good games.
accidentally hit you. Well, I accidentally hit you too. No, that was on purpose.
Oh yeah, I still remember the time that you got suplexed by Colette.
Never forget, Colette, the evil antagonist, strikes with her blue shell suplex.
And not only that, I just defeated the boss when she did it. I was like, what was that
Yeah.
for?
Colette's the villain in this video, along with Gro.
Yep.
Become the common
As you would
female.
always say, she's evil. Oh, not really.
But yeah, definitely, I do recommend Bleed because it is an indie game. Indie games do deserve their chance, and it's a definitely clever concept from the way Cole has read the plot. For sure, it's definitely a clever concept which I'm on board with.
Yep, for sure. So, shall we get on to the next game?
All right, so the next game we're going to add is Kirby Triple Deluxe, which was released on the Nintendo 3DS, made by Hall Laboratory, released in 2014. Who inducted this game?
Sephiroth 1204.
Good pick, Dovey. With this game, it does have two other mini games featured in it, which is Kirby Fighters Z and DDD's Drum Roll Z. This is, if I remember correctly, the 13th installment in the franchise. Kirby has had a lot of games since 1992. But for sure, Kirby is one of the mainstays in Nintendo, because it's Sakurai's baby. But I personally haven't played this game, if I admit it, but I have heard good things about this game. And with the two choices of games it's given you, I'd probably sounds like, but I'm not really tell with the plot because I don't want to give too much spoilers. But Kirby was sleeping one day, then a giant beanstalk called the Dreamstalk begins to grow under Dreamland and carries various landmarks, which includes Kirby's house and DDD's. Of course, the next morning, DDD gets kidnapped. There's your basic plot. A beanstalk has appeared, and you've got to basically save DDD from his troubles. And Kirby goes to investigate. So there's your little plot. I'm not gonna spoil it among there because I personally haven't played it. I just read up on the plot, just that plot, so I don't give too much spoilers because I don't like giving away too much spoilers. So maybe Colin Tiju can tell you about the mechanics and the stuff they added in the game because I don't really know too much because I haven't played it. I do have it in my library, but I'll probably play it when I'm through with other Kirby games.
I may as well mention I mean, of course, it just follows the same vein as Kirby's Return to Dreamland, which I still love that game. It's a fun game. Um, you can copy abilities, you can look for secrets in the game, and the collectibles things, which I'm not going to spoil. Then there's other things. I'll tell you more.
Yeah, I like how some of the they got some different abilities in there that you've never seen in Kirby games before. The Bell ability is one of them. I do believe that you can actually suck up a beetle and take a ability from that one. So, which actually I do
Ooh.
believe is beetle. So there is that part right there. Um, and you guys pretty well hit most of the points anyway that I got. Yeah, but one thing I noticed about Kirby, most of his adventures have been on the on portable consoles.
It's
I
rare that Kirby. It's rare that Kirby gets a console release. I know he's had some on the Wii and whatnot, but most of his games are handheld. Funny enough.
And including the original Kirby's Dreamland. I actually got to play that game when on the Game Boy. I used to love playing that game when I was just a little toad.
He still is a little toad, people. He doesn't age. He doesn't age. The secret's out.
Oh, silence prior to Jew.
Whoops. Now it's time to get away from it.
I think he's trying to find one of Colette's blue shells.
I think
No,
he's found one.
I think I'm just gonna plot my revenge pretty soon.
Oh,
Damn
there
it.
But
But I mean, there's a lot of other ones. Gosh, what else did they have? Well, of course, they also have those mini games featured in Kirby's Return to Dreamland, and those are very fun games. Like, I don't know what it is with Kirby and some of the games, like Kirby Super ones that have little mini games, and they were fun.
Yeah, that's true.
yep, but
But
the one thing that most critics actually received well this game, but except for IGN. But when you look
oh,
at
gee, I
the,
know it.
yeah, I know there's not really surprise there, but
IGN. Ugh.
most of the but for a lot of what the viewer ratings, this one was actually above like 80%.
Yep.
So you do have
Apart from IGN, like Cole said.
you can't really make this game stale. Like that's one thing about Kirby games. Yes, you do have your elements where it's 2.5D, but they do it well. Like currently going on much games right now. Speaking of Kirby games, yeah, we are doing Kirby Star Allies from the Switch. You can
That
check
is
that out.
true. That
So
is true.
yeah, it's ironic that we're doing a Kirby game while this is going on.
Dovey had it planned, people.
Well, when he wanted to actually interesting fact about the tournament, this is one of 3 games, Kirby games, that entered the top 10.
Wow.
The other 2 Kirby games virtually made it to the finals. It was the final 3 when they got knocked out. To the very last game, which I guess we should get on with now.
Then the floor is yours, Cole.
Okay, so the Much Games Hall of Fame tournament ended up with 100 games in total this year. It's the largest one that we've ever had. All the crew members had 5 games in itself. We've had 25 games from users and 20 games that were considered Hall of Fame Classics. The Hall of Fame Classics games were games that did well in previous tournaments. This game was ultimately picked by me just to go into the tournament, however, I did not think it'll win. That game is The Legend of Zelda: A Link Between Worlds, released in 2013 on the Nintendo 3DS, and was made and published by Nintendo. Now, this is a sequel to another Hall of Fame game, A Link to the Past.
I was thinking that.
Yeah, because when they announced it, it actually was exactly that. where Link to the Past, you still had the up scroll parts, which was featured in a lot of early Zelda games. However,
You mean top-down perspective? You mean?
yes, I don't know what I said, but yes, well, it is top down. But games itself, this game itself is one that, well, it is a great pick for the Hall of Fame. The graphics and everything were amazing, especially with the 3D part. And it deals with, instead of having the light world, dark world, it actually deals with Hyrule and Low Rule. That Low Rule actually lost its Triforce, and a villain called Yuga is sent to Hyrule to try to steal theirs, along with 7 sages, which you would actually have to go to Low Rule to rescue. It's kind of a similar plot to A Link to the Past.
Yes, sounds like that.
But Link actually can travel within walls, and even travel between the two. Now, one thing that sets this game apart from most of the other games is that the fact that you had an item rental system. You could rent the items that in the game, or you could virtually buy them later on. But instead of having it as, say, a dungeon part, it's actually kept in a certain house, in Link's house, by another character. But the characters actually do have different things going on too. Like you got Zelda in Hyrule. In Lowell, you actually have a character named Hilda, Princess Hilda.
It says who?
Hilda.
Yoda.
Hilda. You mean Hilda has an alter ego, or not an alter ego, but rather a parallel ego
Yes.
between the worlds of Hyrule and Lowrule.
Yes.
I just got the joke.
So did I.
Dun, 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 dun.
Duh! But this is a game that you're going to see now as a future Much Games Hall of Fame game tournament winner. It will be a future Let's Play on the channel. So there is that part right there. If you guys want to add anything else in on it, I've played the game, I've finished it, so I really think it's a wonderful game.
Speaking of which, you said Hilda, right?
Yeah.
I was thinking Sabrina the Teenage Witch for some weird reason. Because I know they're called Hilda and Zelda among those lines. I was thinking, what? That's what I was thinking. Are we going to Sabrina territory with this name here?
Yeah,
But
it is a bit
obviously,
ironic, isn't it?
yeah, that's what I was thinking. And funny enough, actually, Japan got this game later than what we did. They got it a month later. Again, Japan getting games late. I thought they would get this game first, but they did not.
Yeah, that's usually the case. There's a third game now in this one that they didn't get beforehand.
And of course, the Japanese name for this game is Triforce of the Gods 2, because A Link to the Past was Triforce of the Gods 1, where it doesn't have the 1, but it's just called Triforce of the Gods. More trivia there for you.
Yes, that one is an interesting part right there. But to think that what year did that come? Was it 94 that Link to the Past came out?
1991.
Oh, well, I was way off. So 22 years after A Link to the Past was released, they then released A Link Between Worlds.
Must have taken some time to think of a clever plot, but it worked.
Yep, for sure. Now, Link in this one is a blacksmith's son. I think he was in the other one too. I'm not 100% sure, but all I know, I did Let's Play A Link to the Past. Link to the Past is also Let's Played on much games by Dovey.
Yes.
LP Grotus has LP'd it, and so has Nufi Banga. So, fun fact, myself and Grotus actually finished it the same day around our uploads.
Oh,
yeah.
wait a minute. I remember now. It was not the blacksmith's son, it was his uncle.
Right, in Link to the Past, it was his uncle.
Yeah, it was his uncle, but you know what I remember? I remember Link to the Past that was the Let's Play in which I was looking for a Let's Play, and that's how I found Nufi Banga. I kid you not. Had it not been for its predecessor, Link to the Past, I never would have found him, and ultimately I never would have found you guys. So there's a little bit of trivia right there.
Oh, that's a good history right there.
If it hadn't been for that game, I never would have found you guys. That's about as accurate as I can make that.
Yeah, and you wouldn't be here today doing this video.
Always good to have.
Yeah.
Always good to have. Or the blue toad.
Yep.
I don't think.
I have no idea what that was.
It's supposed to be me, but I can't do my raspy voice anymore. Shit.
That's fine. Have our moments.
Woo!
There we go. That sounded better.
Yep.
That was his old voice actor.
That sounds like for Mario Kart 64, though.
Yeah. Pesky Toad. Damn you to June 22. I mean Toad. I still remember that. Let's Play. That was so funny. I couldn't stop laughing.
Wait, Samurai did that one.
Every time you.
Well, Mario Kart 64.
Yeah. No, that's what you did.
God.
Damn you to June 22. I mean Toad.
Oh yeah.
No, it was you, Cole. Who
Oh
did
yeah,
that.
right. But you know why? Because every time, most of those games, those times, believe it or not, it was always Toad that was my rival.
Yeah, it depends. Depends who you pick.
But
Toad is mostly the persistent one in that game.
yeah, even though I did laugh when I did the Rainbow Road glitch and it was ironically Toad that got caught in that corner.
Well, at least Toad didn't glitch. At least Toad didn't cheat on Royal Raceway, for Christ's sake.
No, that went to Peach and Bowser, and Bowser did it worse.
Oh god. We have Link Between Worlds. I have talking about its predecessor, I have had that itch to Let's Play Link to the Past because I did do a second quest in the first game, which was a challenge. It's easy, obviously. For me, it was easy. I didn't die in it because I don't think I did. I died in the second one. I did. So I might do Link to the Past because talking about a Link Between Worlds has made me want to play that game again, so that when I do eventually pick up a Link Between Worlds, I can understand what's going on.
Yeah, it'll be a great idea too.
Let's try that. I might have to look that up. Like, let's see what games, or rather, what systems you can get it for.
Just 3DS and that one.
Yeah.
As for Link to the Past, let me see. If you ever got a copy of I can't really say a copy. You ever got your hands on the SNES Mini? It's on that.
Yeah.
Or if you have the GBA, then you can get it on that.
Yep. You can download on. Well, you can't download on Wii now. For some of the shop channels that would have had it, I'm sure that they do have it now.
I would think so. I would think that if you wanted to get it, you could get it for. It was available for the Virtual Console on the Wii, Wii U, and yeah, it's also on the Super NES Classic Edition, of course.
One thing I can say about The Link Between Worlds is that thank God it actually got made, because it had its setbacks from 2009 to 2010, and then some other one in 2011. So thank God it got made, because they did have problems. They did have problems with Link merging with the walls, so I've heard as well. So it did get delayed quite a few times, and some of the team members were just having frustration and reassigned to do different projects. So they were switching in between staff members in fixing this game. Thank God it got made, because it definitely got the praise it deserves.
That's one thing I can find with Nintendo, is that if they're not going to be able to hold on to their deadlines, they will push it back, just so they can get it right. They're not pulling no Sonic 06 stuff.
I wish they got things right with Star Fox Zero, for God's sake. Oh, I wish they did. That's probably one of the things Nintendo got wrong probably the most is that one game.
Yeah, because
Otherwise, they normally get everything right.
that one did ruin Star Fox.
Star Fox Zero was very disappointing.
Yeah, I was disappointed.
After all the pushbacks it did and delays and whatnot, with that it was just poor. But
Yeah, I heard it was not good.
98% of the time we can say Nintendo gets things right in terms of pushing games back.
Yep.
The 2% obviously goes to Star Fox Zero.
Agreed.
Yeah, that I would also have to say Mother 3 was probably the only other one. Or Earthbound 64. Like, I remember watching the trailer for Earthbound 64. I was like, what is this game? I would like to try this. Only a 12-year-old child at that time. The fact that it never got released, that was a bad memory. But there were other games that kept me going, like Super Smash Brothers Melee and things like that. But Link Between Worlds, I haven't played it personally, but I've seen people play it, and it looks like a fun game.
The merging with the Wars concept was a definite clever idea.
Actually, Bragg did a Let's Play on that game on his channel too, so you can check that out.
Yeah. So there you go. There you guys can watch it on his own channel. Very good stuff, by the way.
Yeah, but that's pretty well it. That's the class of 2019. So it's 140 games officially in. Next year we actually hit another milestone, 150. So what 10 games are going next year now? Well, that'll remain to be seen. That's in 1 year's time. But like we said, so just a recap: the Jew inducted Super Mario 3D World. Fugu Fantasy. I just messed up his name. I messed up his
Frugal Fantasy.
Frugal. That sounds more like
Fantasy.
spoonerisms. What am I? 222 or something?
I'm probably X2 Amarai.
Wow, my English is bad right now. Okay, so Moogle Fantasy, there we go, inducts Odin Sphere. Nuvi Banga inducted Metroid Prime 3 Corruption. Samurai inducts XCOM UFO Defense. Bragg inducted Hyperdimension Neptunia Rebirth 1. Bayonetta 2 was inducted by Colette NL180. Zeo Lightning inducted Takikon Country Tropical Freeze. LP Grotus, or Stream Grotus as I like to call him nowadays, has inducted Bleed. Sephiroth 1204 inducted Kirby Triple Deluxe, and the winning game of the 2019 Hall of Fame tournament is The Legend of Zelda: Link Between Worlds. Actually,
Which was inducted by Cole211.
Well, I can't really see what the game was, but the people actually inducted that one in. However, I will state that in the finals, that actually went up against two Kirby games. Kirby 64, The Crystal Shards, and Kirby Superstar Ultra.
Ow. I remember it went up against two Kirby games, and I'm like, there's no way that Link is going to beat two Kirby games, but it worked.
Yeah, I was actually surprised when it came down to that, because there's a lot of other good games in the tournament. Luigi's Mansion was one of them. Shovel Knight was another one. And I figured that one of them would have won.
Ow.
But even Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars. Yeah, there was a lot of good games in that tournament. That's it. So any final thoughts here before we go?
Samurai, you can go first.
What a great selection of games that got inducted this year. Of course, every induction has got great selection, but definitely this one was up there as probably one of my favorites, actually.
Oh, we got. I mean, some learn a little bit more about them, whereas others, yeah, I'm not surprised. Like Tropical Freeze, Triple Deluxe, and of course the winning game between worlds. But I'm just thankful that the one I have, Super Mario 3D World, was inducted. I'm thankful for that, and I'm pretty sure everybody else is. But it was also just as thankful that I had a great time catching up with Samurai and with Cole. So it was an honor and a pleasure.
It was definitely a pleasure talking with the both of you and inducting these games. I've definitely learned a lot about the game. I know if I'd be playing, but I'm probably going to definitely pick some of these up in the future, and definitely maybe you might see them on my channel. I might make more effort to see them, but definitely learning experience as well, as much as an honor to induct these games and talking to you guys.
Yeah, there was a. It was a pleasure inducting these games with you guys and talking to you guys about it too. I gotta say, but some of these games, I gotta say, a lot of these games are great. Uh, I figure there were some surprises actually coming in from left field. I think Luffy Bangers is actually more left field. I'm not gonna lie, I was expecting him to go with an older game, but he did that one, and well, it's a great choice for what he inducted. Uh,
Funny enough, picked the oldest game on there.
you did. It was the only game from the '90s too.
That's right. That's right. And whereas mine is fairly recent.
Yeah, yours was 2013.
Colette's was 2014.
Yep, Zeos was 2014, and so was Dovi's. But that's it. That's the 2019 Much Games Hall of Fame ceremony. So, well, we look forward to you guys doing another tournament in 2020, and see if we can get another future Let's Play out of that. So, this is Cole signing off, along with
Samurai TX.
Ode to Jew 22.
peace. Peace out, everybody.
Until
Peace.
next time, goodbye.